What's up, guys? This is Dylan from BasketballBrain. How's it going? Two things really quickly. Number one, if you guys sent me an email and I haven't responded yet, please be patient. I get a ton of emails, and I don't like to respond with just one sentence. I like to respond with an in-depth answer. And as some of you know who I have written back, I usually have 3 or 4 paragraphs. I really try to answer what you ask me. Number two, a lot of you, this is your first time hearing about BasketballBrain. In case you don't know what it is, BasketballBrain is an online mental training program for basketball players, a brain training program for basketball players. We've done it for years. We have tons of users. I literally, no exaggeration at all, I have thousands of testimonials. I didn't ask for them. People just send them to me because the program really works. And it's not because I'm so smart, but it's because we use tried and true psychological techniques. We also use cutting-edge psychology. I hold a degree in psychology. The stuff really works. The full program's available at basketballbrain.com for $27. Make sure you check it out. Today I want to talk about basketball temptations. What do I mean by temptations? I mean when you're going for a goal in basketball, there are going to be things that come up that try to take you away from accomplishing that goal. For instance, there's going to be the temptation to sleep in when you know you got to wake up and go to the gym. There's that temptation to maybe go to a party when you haven't finished your workout for the day. And in your mind you say, well, I'll just go do it tomorrow. So the temptation is to put off work. A lot of the time temptations have to do with taking shortcuts. Another type of temptation is, let's say you've made a commitment to shoot 500 shots a day, right? And you get to 400 or 450. I have so many players who will get to 400 shots and then stop and feel good about that. You shouldn't feel good if you set a goal for 500, get to 500. Don't take the shortcut temptation. Another temptation is not to go 100%, not to go game speed. And sometimes it's hard for people on the outside to see, but in your heart, you know whether you're going game speed or not. And a lot of that has to do with how you use your imagination. So when you're out there practicing, you have to put yourself in a mind state in which it feels like you're actually in the game. It'll make a huge difference. So you want to envision your toughest opponent when you're out there practicing and make sure you're going as fast as you can. Don't take the temptation of the shortcut to ease up a little bit. Another temptation is not eating right, not working out, not getting your lungs in shape, to cut your running workout short. Don't do that. There's also the temptation to take the game too seriously. Now that might sound ironic given what I just said, but you can actually take the game far too seriously and not have any fun while playing. So avoid that temptation to take yourself and everything you're doing like it's life or death. It's still a game. So avoid the temptation of being too uptight. Also avoid the temptation of approaching it as just a game, because it's slightly more than just a game. It's something that you put a lot of time and effort into. So you got to find that line where you're not taking it too seriously and you're not taking it too frivolously. There's the temptation to play for other people, not yourself, to play for headlines and for social media love. You got to watch that. There's a temptation to kind of ease up or quit or stop trying as hard when the coach is hard on you. You got to watch that temptation. The human mind, the human ego, likes to look for excuses. There's the temptation to ease up so you have an excuse if you don't play well. Indeed, there's a temptation to make the excuses before games about injuries and not feeling well or something dramatic happening in your life before you play. You want to avoid those temptations and just do your best. There's the temptation not to be great, to want to hide. A lot of people are scared to be successful. It sounds crazy because you'd think everybody wants to be successful, but I know when I played and I started getting better and I got a little bit of press when I was in high school, there's a lot of pressure to then in the following games live up to that. So there's the temptation to kind of shrink away from that and not want to be in that position. So watch for that temptation. There's the temptation to hope that you'll play great rather than just going for it and really laying it all on the line. So avoid the temptation of playing cool. A lot of guys play cool and they want people to see them not trying that hard, so they're almost above the game. Avoid that temptation. When you play, really go for it. Give it 110%. So these are just some of the temptations you'll face. Try to do the opposite. For instance, if you feel like eating bad, try to stop yourself and pick the opposite and eat well. If you feel like going through the motions in practice, try to stop yourself, catch yourself in that temptation, and do the opposite and actually ratchet it up a notch. Practice harder than you were planning to practice. If there's a social event that you want to go to, do the opposite and go to the gym. Just constantly be on the lookout for these temptations. Winners have a tendency to do the opposite of what average players do. Average players pick the easier way to go. It's easier to go to the party. It's easier to sleep in. It's easier to eat junk food. Winners, on the other hand, just through exercising their will, tend to do the opposite. And if you start doing the opposite, if you avoid these temptations, you're going to see your game improve like you've never seen it improve before. Also, part of this, of course, is to open up to the idea of mental training, to not just hope you'll play well, but to actually engage in activities that help you be mentally ready when game time comes. This is BasketballBrain.com. We're dedicated to your greatness.